Just waiting for this light to fucking load up. Fuck it, just go for it.
About the light, you sure?
Yeah, it'll be fine, I still can see it.
Welcome everybody to Behind the Bar 6. We have a sick bar, make some noise! On my right we have Hefty, make some noise! On my left we have Benji Boii, make some noise! The winner of this bar gets a free jumper courtesy of Fair Peak, sponsoring Wrapped in Wire. As I said, I'll put the links on the video. So, and he's deciding to go first. Flip it, yeah, no worries. Where the fuck am I going?
You ain't got money?
I've got one. Check that over. Sorry, I've got one. Right, who's come the furthest? You is.
She's chose Hexel.
You chose Hexel?
They got whisper bars.
No, stop it. Exit is. Right, Benji Boii to start off with. Everybody come closer, come closer, come closer. Junkie, we good?
Yeah, man.
Preacher, we good?
Yeah.
First round. Benji Boii.
Yo. I guess this comes down to who's the hungry MC. And that's not fucking you, man, obviously. This guy's about a chocolatey sweet, a few quality street, or a doner and meat from dropping down dead in a toxic disease, or his fat tits crushing his lungs when he sleeps. Ooh. Your mum should shut the fridge with a lock and a key, or expect you in a coffin this week. Nice. Your fucking head's so fat that your neck could snap. When you were a baby, you fed so fast that you left your mum's breast so flat that the next horseman called her a Tesco bag chest or sold out bakery because that sket's got no backs. Oh. You drained them so fast. You escaped that horse gash at such a whole mash you caused her prolapse and bounced off her feet when you dropped an order of her bones and her toes snapped. Nice. You're a fucking slob and you know that. Why when you speak or you spit, you reel in your lips or clench your teeth like a prick so you're speaking like this? I'm Hefty. I'm a total crazy fucker. Psychotic death stare of a pedo baby fucker. I'm the type you could be fine, stalking out the ladies' lockers, peeping at the knockers through the vents inside the lockers with some fucking big binoculars. You're just fucking weird, mate. Aaron Hansen is the type of grandson to watch his nana dancing in her big ass mansion, get his dick out, start wanking and get done for harassment. Time.
Time, make some noise! Yo, first round, Hefty.
So they thought I wasn't coming. They thought I wouldn't bun him like the pucker that we put in every fucker that we chug in. Nice. I will prove to him it's nothing. I will stab him with a muffin. It is nothing. It is nothing, right? Well, I'll hook and strike this muppet like good fucking night, so duck and dive. Nice. You ain't dodging the mayhem with these bars I'm bringing. Send it to my concrete jungle and he will see that I'm a balaclava arm and Tarzan swinging. So Benji Boii can get annoyed and send his boys to get destroyed. He's flexing void, that trend is void. I don't really mind a bit of fisticuffs. I was raised on hitting stuff. Nowhere makes the kids as tough as Salford City does. No fucking that. So you can blend it to the town, your back is loud and aggy, but we both know there's more beef on Downton, I bet.
True story, that.
Respect. Nah, you don't deserve mine. Come and see me when you've been and served time. Come and see me when you've backed your shit even though everyone else folded but you stacked your chips. Come and see me when you're not a true liar because you're going on hotter than blue fire. Yo, imagine you was pushing drugs. I'd be buzzing, bruv. I'd barefaced rob you for your fucking scruffy bud, then roll a big fucking blunt and blow the smoke into your ugly mug. Such a disgusting cunt. Get a proper grip. I let the chopper slip on this rotten prick. Such a pig did make a copper sick. Yo, this is not a trick. This is the lyrical gas chamber. The invisible mass raider comes to scribble this twat's face off with bars that hit like a missile from past Asia. It's clear this individual's equipped with a vast danger. Wow. Wow, fuck off, mate. You're gonna need more. You're not gonna bruise me. You're gonna need more than spot on to move me. It's like Gokwan vs Bruce Lee. You're gonna need the shot of an Uzi, but you're not got an Uzi, so fucking jog on. I'm not gonna lose, G. Fuck off time.
Make some fucking noise, man.
Yes.
Get him!
Second round with Benji Boii.
Yo, how come if you're such a big shotter that you look like a dosser? How come it looks like you forgot your PE kit and been dressed from the spare kit locker? Come on, man, ain't nobody feeling you. You've been abused. You're a fucking tramp, mate. Even Nero wouldn't wear them shoes. Hefty, I wouldn't nail your mum if she let me. Hefty, I wouldn't nail your mum if she let me. She's got a cleft lip and bent teeth that look like a smashed fence G. Above her eyes, she's got a tattoo that says rent me. And she never buys milk, she uses cum from draining bollocks empty. And then makes you a cup of tea. Now, Dave threw a lemon at Nero and that shit was foobar. So let me murk your slag mum with some crazy irrelevant fruit bars. I've already explained that you drained your mum's tits and they're a shit pair, they're hardly ample. And even if she fucking begged, I wouldn't let her give me apple.
Okay.
She sends me bananas, she should turn lemon just like a three-way sketch. Woo! She loves that cock too much, that dirty fucking greedy sket. To push her bum grapes back in, she could use a whole fucking lamppost and wakes up every morning like, where did that man go? So now you pimp your little sister out for fish and chips and Guinness now, you silly clown. They pin her down and then proceed to dick her mouth. They fill her clout with cum and shit until it hurts her sitting down. She then comes home, you lay her down and then proceed to lick her out, you dirty fuck. Time.
Make some noise! Second round, Hefty.
So they thought I wouldn't show. Seeds in the snow and they thought I wouldn't grow. The explosives in the post, they thought I wouldn't blow. The fires in the storm and they thought I wouldn't glow. Benji's the scapegoat. I'm going in, you got no escape hope. I didn't want to do it, but I've seen the disrespect on the internet and I think it's best to pick said I think the best can get put into bed. When the chick connects with a fist of death, the risk is more than a little threat. Nice. Wow, you're saying I can only do mum jokes. Fucking dumb blokes. I'm going in to show them how the gun smokes. Going gung-ho. Verbally hang little bit. Foot rope. Hey, foot rope. Get it. They're claiming I'm a comedian when truth be told I'm for the Rufus Road where we're grafting, not rapping, so no, it's a fact, this is not acting. I've done my lyrics hard. I've lived with my bars. I've had a fucking battle on a prison yard and I tore that prick apart. That shit takes a bit of heart and a stare that'll make this nipper's ass shit and fart. Shit and fart. The stare that'll make this little nipper's ass shit and fart. I'm ripping out. This is where the shivers start. You cold, bro? Warm up, man, because this is where the shivers start. This is where the shivers start. The malicious part of ripping after this victim starts. Watch now, bedroom rappers glued into your room like lizards are in a jar. It's real out here and your keyboards won't save you when Hefty the Benji turns Britain dark. Sick. So you fucking it out. What's that? Hey, so you fucking it out. What's that C stand for? Cock. Fuck off, bro, you're blatantly on rock. That fucking tracksuit, I've never seen wore by shots. When I've been serving them off, running from the cops. You ain't done shit, you ain't never been in jail behind the locks. You can't do shit, mate, you can't stop the clocks. Time's moving on and I'm coming in fast. Fuck you, fuck that cat, fuck that tracksuit, fuck everything you're wearing. Test me, you're not daring, Hefty's not caring. Freestyling off the top, I don't need to write, it's better than everything that you wrote down. Fuck off, go home, no sound. Fuck off, reaction, sick, whole crowd knows I don't need to be in my whole town.
Hefty! Time! Make some noise for that first second round, man. Come on, make some fucking noise. Third round. Benji boy.
Yo, you know what rhymes with your nana? Claw hammer, raw power and jaw fracture till the horse spastic till I'm all cabbaged. This dude's savage, the mood's static when this dude's rapping. Your favourite hobby is poo stabbing. I'm a loose cannon and that cheese that you sell in Stilton, and I'm just gonna murk you like Nevo should have done Wilson. Ooh. But it's no fucking secret that he writes your bars for you. And when you take a shit, he probably wipes your ass for you. You gotta stop treating him like a lawyer, because you pay him to get you out of shit, but you can't escape these bars for you.
Nice, nice.
Your mum looks like fucking Bruce Forsyth. She works the streets on dark nights. She'd literally fuck anybody if you play your cards right. But that's enough of raping that dumb whore her bum saw. Let's chat about you, expecting to win this gun war. I'm fighting fit this time, you're done for. Considering I won my last battle blind like Van Damme in Bloodsport.
Nice.
Speaking of Van Damme, if I would pull out my black eagle, you wouldn't be a hard target, it's sudden death. I double team your man when her husband's left. I think like a cyborg. This soldier's universal, right? Yeah. Let's take it to the road and I'll show you my street fighter. I'll kickbox your head in. No retreat, no surrender. It's time for the cops to come and help you. So fuck this battle anyway, man. I'm done. I just left Hefty fucked up with nowhere to run.
Nice.
Final round. You ready, preacher?
Yeah.
Final round. Hefty.
You're fucking buried in a minute. You was never gonna win it. There's no exit except for your remission. The Hefty's heavy spirit, but you can hate your best. The Hefty won't be accepting that submission. I feel regret for any rapper to have to get that. I feel regret for any rapper to have to get to that decision. But I just keep pressing on the limits, discrediting your image with the devilish of the Vicks. Wow, get a medic and send you to the clinic, cause someone needs to better his condition. Wow, breath, man, breath, it's fucking hard. No, someone needs to better his condition, but it won't be me though. There's no mercy in this age. Fuck you big yapping, we'll just kidnap him, have him send his birthday in a cage. Fucking wake up, where are you, mate? If you get caught on our estate, then your fate will be far away from safe, cause the grave to be made in gardens, mate. Get buried in a battle or buried in the moonlight. I just bend it like it's suicide. Start that again. Get buried in a battle or buried in the moonlight. I just bend it like it's Benji and it's suicide. No cause, just a note, say it's Benji, then I'm through with life. Battle that ruin mine, so we have to 2 to 5, then I'm gonna do it right. And my body's something nobody's due to find. Case closed, Benji's gone. But why would I need to take revenge when there's nothing for me to be avenging on? You should be the offended one, but you're the pretending one. Trying to bend in one like Beckham's on, get the kettle on, cause that's pathetic done. This shit's finished.
Nice.
Oh, it's freestyle time.
What we want, lad.
Yo, listen, I'm dark. That shirt's blatantly from Prime Art. Someone predicted that because I can be a bit out of the box. If you was out of the locks, then you might be rushed down by the cops because you might be out molesting kids, sexing people and taking it to their cribs and breaking in and sneaking in and gripping knives and going upstairs and gripping wives and trying to get them in headlocks and doing them freaking twice. But me, I'm better than you. I do shit that's better than you. Me, I get more credit than you. But outside smoking cheese, that's cheddar to you. You can't do nothing I do. You're just stuck in a loo. Stuck in a loo, that's fucking, it's poo. It's poo. It's poo, whatever you do. Sort your checker hood out. Sort your fucking scruffy mum out. I've not even said one fucking mum joke. I've already said dumb bloke. Finishing it there, finishing it for all time.
Hey, go on, Hefty, lad.